in my dojo, you
Step in my dojo, you
step in my.
Hey. Yo, what up? Hey. Hello. Welcome. At Producer Dojo, we have a constant stream of live events waiting for you to come get your learn on. Sign up at the link below to make sure you don't miss out.
Hey, I'm Spiderhound, and today I have 2 spider bites for you. What is a spider bite, you might be asking? Well, spider bite is bite-sized information to help you improve your music production workflow. Let's do it. I've been producing music for more than 2 decades, and I've tried many different creative approaches in the studio. I've failed so many times, and the number one thing that I want for you is to learn from my failures so that you can level up quickly. I'm a firm believer in the philosophy of getting to quality through quantity. And the results that I've been getting since I adopted a daily music making practice has been game changing. Let me set the stage with an important concept known as the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. Basically what the Pareto principle states is that 80% of the effects comes from 20% of the causes, or 20% of overall time and effort spent leads to 80% of the results. Another way you could think about it is that 80% of music releases comes from 20% of total song output. Now let's think about this in terms of a calendar year. I took a failed approach the year that I set the goal at make 12 songs in a year, 1 song a month, right? This was a very depressing year for me because at the end of the year, I had 10 songs that were mediocre and 2 songs that were release worthy. Not the best use of time. Fast forward to when I really went all in on the daily music making approach. And at the end of the year, I had 365 songs and 20% of those were release worthy. 80% of them were mediocre, but you have to go through those mediocre songs in order to get to the great songs. Generating lots of ideas leads to better results. Each new song that you work on has a unique set of challenges that you have to overcome. And every time you overcome a challenge and solve a problem, it adds tools to your toolkit. In my opinion is like the time is better spent in the DAW than doing anything else. So when you embark on a daily music making habit, you're gonna need a project management system to handle it all because it gets out of control really quickly. You'll find that you have more songs than you have time to listen to. So Trello is a free project management system that has become my go-to hub and archive for every single song that I work on. If you're not familiar with Trello, just think of it like a digital whiteboard where you can add digital sticky notes and then move them from vertical to vertical. My process is that I create a new card for each date and I attach a Dropbox link render of the song that I worked on that day. So I can listen back to it at ease whenever I want. Because you can get Trello on your mobile phone, on your iPad, wherever you are. I'm 1 second away from my entire music making library. You can just tap into it and listen back, take notes. It's super helpful. I wait a week to listen back to them because if you produce something and then try to criticize it 5 minutes after you produce it, you're not able to. You let it sit for a week and you listen back to it, now you're the listener. That's great, that's where you want to be because now you can be critical. And I find that when you let songs rest for a little while and then revisit them, all the mistakes and all of the areas that you need to improve immediately jump out of the mix at you. I like to color code them in Trello. So how I color code them is if it's a mediocre song, it gets 1 green. And if it's a promising song that's totally release worthy, then I give it a double green. And this helps me manage my time because I know I'm going to spend my time on the double greens and I'm going to let the green ones sit for some other day. So people usually ask me, how much time do you spend each day on this daily music making habit? And the answer is it depends on the day. Life happens. We can't spend unlimited amounts of time in the studio making songs. So what I recommend is that you set a minimum daily goal of 10 minutes a day. You might be saying 10 minutes a day, what can you get done in 10 minutes? But 10 minutes is really powerful. I failed when I set the goal too high. There was a year I was like, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to produce 5 hours a day. This worked great for 3 days, but then on the 3rd day, I didn't make the 5-hour mark. and I failed. It's a very slippery slope. But if you change it around and you have 10 minutes as the goal, 10 minutes is easy. No matter how bad your day is, you can give 10 minutes. You know, it's like brushing your teeth. You're not going to wake up and... 10 minutes is easy. No matter how bad your day is, you can give 10 minutes. You know, it's like brushing your teeth. You're not going to wake up and not brush your teeth because you're in a bad mood or you're not feeling it. And why is that? The reason why is because it's a habit. And you need to make music making become a habit like brushing your teeth, so that you do it every day no matter what. And you do it no matter what mood you're in, what you're going through. It puts you in a position so that you can create momentum any day, no matter what. So in summary, you will get to quality through quantity. Commit to a daily music making habit, 10 minutes minimum each day, and use Trello to help you manage your creative output and guide your daily focus. Spiderbyte 2 is sub-bass Tetris. I developed a fun workflow approach that I like to call sub-bass Tetris. Let me demonstrate this using my newest release, My Perfect Place, which is actually being released on April 20. Keeping it simple is key. So the first thing that I do is create one long note in the key of the song. So in this case, it's just the C1, and I start from there. So my favorite thing to do is to experiment with volume modulation. And then once I find a volume modulation that works, I then duplicate the track and try to find a different volume modulation that also works, and I'll continue on and on doing this. So here, let me just let me show you how this works. So you can see there I chose 3/16 as the volume modulation increment, and that's great. It works. When you listen to the drum beat, it just goes really well. You can bounce to the beat. So that's a good one. I duplicated it, and basically you see here I chose 1/6 beats. And that works really nice too. So that's a keeper. And the thing to go for is variation. You know, the more variation you have in a song, the more interesting of a journey it's going to be for the listener. Another thing I like to do is to create like pitch bends, right? I love using sub basses in sampler for this because of the amazing modulation features within sampler, right? You know, not only is there volume modulation, but there's pitch oscillation as well as frequency modulation and a lot of other things. If you don't have them yet, I recommend that you download the Bobo subs from the weekly download. Amazing subs. I use them in every single song. So in this case, I took this sub bass and I experimented with pitch envelopes so you could hear what it sounds like. And that adds a nice flavor, right? So you get these pitch sweep dive bombs. You have a variation in volume modulation. Why do I call this sub-bass Tetris? I call it sub-bass Tetris because you can see when you do this method and you start duplicating out all the different sub-bass variations, it kind of starts looking like the game of Tetris. And I love it because it empowers you to be able to make changes. You can just grab a block and move the modulations around and experiment with you know, different variations. It's less of a barrier to change than if you took one sub bass and then decided to modulate the you know, the different volume modulation increments with an automation lane. You set yourself up for success in production when you create workflow that keeps you moving fast and it keeps you moving forward. So anything that's going to stop your forward momentum is not ideal. I love sub-bass Tetris because I could be away from this project for a week or two, open it back up, and I know, like, oh, the reason why there's so many sub-basses here is because there's variation. So in summary, use sub-bass in a sampler, Download the Bobo subs from the weekly download. Create one legato note and experiment with volume modulation. Duplicate sub-bass tracks and experiment with volume modulation varieties. Experiment with pitch envelopes. Experiment with frequency modulation. Move the bass blocks around like Tetris. If you found this interesting and you want to do a deeper dive, go to weekly download episode 149, Spiderhound, self-releasing music to build your brand and stay motivated, and download all the goodies that I provided for you. And most importantly is have fun. If you're not having fun, then you're doing something wrong. Music is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. So please, please have fun. Hopefully these spider bites were helpful to you. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace.
It's like that.